What's up, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Shots Fired podcast with DP. I am your host, S Pop, with the birth name of Jay Simino, and today is 6 May 2026. And today, I'd like to get into my pot story a little bit in a segment I call Rants with DP. So, Mr. Tom Cotton had a little something to say about weed. A few days yither yonder, he says marijuana today is much more potent than 10 or 20 years ago, leading to increased psychosis, antisocial behavior, fatal car crashes, blah, blibbity, blah. He goes on to say that Arkansasians don't want it. Never mind the community fact check that proves him wrong about which way Arkansasians are actually leaning. This guy is speaking to his strongest voting base, the elderly, the only people to truly show up, because typically there are voting machines placed in every elderly high-rise in most municipalities. He knows that only a limited few of his strongest younger supporters and or haters will actually show up. This is why it seems that both sides really make an aggressive push towards the elderly. He's speaking to the old folks about that darn hippie lettuce. Satan's grass, so to speak. What he's missing is the fact that those smelly doobie spliff Woodstock people are the elderly now. He needs to adjust with the times and read the room a little better. And while he's at it, where was his support for THC 10 or 20 years ago, as he says himself, when it was much weaker and truly medicinal? It might be before his time on Capitol Hill, but his predecessors on the right were against it then too. This dude, and I say this with all due respect, is a cunt. So, what do I know about weed? Well, not much really, except that it helped me greatly get through the worst time period in my life. I am not a lifelong stoner, folks. I didn't start when I was a teenager. I don't wear clothes that look like I made them myself or just grabbed them out of the hamper, and I shower regularly. I didn't start it until about 3 years after my retirement from law enforcement. And I grew up around it. Yes, I did. But never had a single inkling to dabble. Just wasn't for me, but I'm like that with most medicines as well. I see it as a sign of weakness, and I had been bombarded at pro-weed legalization rallies at my state house back when I was a cop from the smelly people talking shit. It's all natural, man. It cures cancer and snow blindness in cats, man. You know, the typical narrative from people who weren't suffering any of those things. They were just using the plight of sufferers to maintain their own high. I had much more respect for those who would just admit, hey, I like to get fucked up, man, or I'm too weak to live a semi-normal life, man. And as a cop, I wasn't a big weed pursuer. If I made 2 or 3 arrests tops in my 24-year career, that would surprise me. I probably let 95% go as long as they weren't douchebags to me. Some I would even let keep their product. I'd pretend I didn't see it. My problem was with the drunks. They were the first ones to act up and get physical. So, I was in my smoking stage when I started this channel, and I hosted a segment called Doobie Patrol. And I gotta say, I had more fun with that program and the engagement that followed than anything else on this app. It's an amazing community. But I also never got into the politics of it, even though I'm not currently partaking. I am still friends with most, and I just have to laugh when I see them lie as much as the opponents and Tom Cottons of the world. Every day I see, it's never caused a death. Bull fucking shit. It's never caused a fatal accident. Bull fucking shit. And as always, it's all natural. It's just a plant. Big time. Bull fucking shit. It was a plant prior to the 90s when it topped out at just 3% THC if you were lucky. That's when it was a plant. That's when it was truly medicinal. This shit today is literally made with fucking poison. It's in the damn soil and fertilizer. You're not fooling anyone. And dab oil? What the fuck do you say is natural with that? Come the fuck on, people. I set out to be a middle voice because far as I can tell, it doesn't exist. There was no one out there other than weak-ass heavy stoners and opponents that have never partaken, both coming with major biases. I try to add a little legitimacy to the pro side with my segments. I didn't wake and bake. I didn't dab. If you have to use dab oil just to live, you're living wrong. You're living weak. Period. I've told my story about having a friend at the time who didn't try to wow me with bullshit. She started talking to me about my PTSD and terpenes and other elements of the plant, like the cannabinoids, I would find beneficial. I wasn't looking for a high THC percentage. I instead was looking at the overall numbers on the strain. She taught me how to look for the best strains for me, and that first night I finally gave in and tried it, I cried. I stared at the ceiling and cried for the first time in almost 20 years since I was bitten by the PTSD demon. The thoughts were gone. My mind going in 50 million directions at once, gone. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, trying my hardest to conjure up what I was thinking of before I took that first puff. My mind was racing before I smoked it. Now nothing. Nothing but focus on the moment. I even tested myself right there. I tried to dredge up bad memories, mom and shit. I couldn't, not a single one. I tried to dredge up good memories and I couldn't. It was only the moment. No fear, no concerns, no voices, and I slept like I had never slept before. And before long, I had kicked an SSRI I was on for over 10 years. And shortly after things went way south with that person and my life was on the line, I stayed with the weed, and I got through the toughest period of my life, almost ending it. And the way I did, I slayed that fucking demon by taking over full control and putting it on a leash. And then my life really took off. However, I moved across the country and now I'm in a state that doth not partake legally. So I took what I had built up from Rhode Island, and once it was smoked up, like a true former cop, I had no fucking idea how to find it. Not that I would trust anything bought off the street. So my Doobie Patrol community pushed THCA on me, being that it was at least federally legal, so I could have it mailed without worrying about a door knock from postal inspectors or the DEA. After all, remaining legal is still very important to me. Now, I don't know the difference between THC and THCA, and maybe I just went with the wrong strains. I think I tried like 11 different forms of flower and 5 or 6 vapes, and I can honestly say it didn't hit right. Not medicinally, high wise, shit fuck. I was higher than I'd ever been, but I could never get a proper lab slip. I couldn't read the terp profiles, and it was never about the high for me. It was about everything else the magic plant provided. It was no longer medicinal. It changed. Now, I was just high, and worry and paranoia started to persist, and dwelling. A lot of dwelling on the past, the negative past to be more precise, the part I didn't need. So there's proof that this shit is not magic. So I quit cold turkey. Tried some of the legal gummies they sell here, the Delta 8 and 9, not the same. So that's it. I plan on hitting Rhode Island soon and seeing as I don't like to drink to escape. While the First Lady of DP Nation enjoys a wine or a margarita, I will be traversing my favorite dispensary and enjoying the best lettuce in the world. I will be fucking partying. And if the day comes that my state legalizes it, at least medicinally, I might partake again because I'm back on that damn SSRI and that sucks. So, Tom Cotton, alleged law enforcement and military supporter, you have no fucking clue what you're saying, bro. Or maybe you do and you just don't give a fuck. There are probably millions of us retired first responders or former military who are drinking themselves to death. But a little weed and the proper THC terp ratio could be a huge game changer. It was for me, and again, I'm not a current smoker, and I shower regularly. I am the middle dude. There are more of me out there if you care to look, douchebag. Okay, end of rant. But if you want to see a really cool group of stoners, please join me tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on X with the Boys live show. It's kind of a game show of sorts, full of shenanigans and jokes galore. And although I won't be partaking in the hippie lettuce, I will enjoy a few premium cigars as the boys get fucked up. And maybe I can teach you a thing or two about the tobacco leaf. Sure to be a good time. Now, how about some fun? Let's quickly delve into the H1B Chronicles. Now it's time for the final call. Police officer Ariana M. Preston, Chicago PD in Illinois on May 6, 2023, was shot and killed during an attempted robbery at 8157 South Blackstone Avenue in Chicago at about 1:40 a.m. She had finished her shift and was returning home when armed subjects confronted her, attempting to rob her. She was able to draw her weapon and exchange shots with multiple subjects before being mortally wounded. The subject stole her gun and fled the scene. An officer who was responding to a nearby crash discovered Officer Preston on the ground. The officer rendered aid and transported her to a local hospital in a patrol car. 5 suspects, including 1 juvenile, were arrested the following day. 4 of the subjects were charged with first-degree murder and armed robbery, arson, burglary, and possession of a stolen motor vehicle. One of the suspects pleaded guilty in 2026 and was sentenced to 55 years. Officer Preston had served with the Chicago PD for 2.5 years and was assigned to the 5th District. She is survived by her mother, father, and twin sibling. Also on this date, back in 1961, policeman Sidney Regal of the LAPD in California was shot and killed, and his partner was seriously wounded by an ex-convict wanted for robbing a liquor store. The suspect opened fire on the officers when they attempted to arrest him outside a residence on Pierce Street in Pacoima. He surrendered to a newspaper reporter a week later. November 9, 1961, the suspect, 30, was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life. Policeman Regal was a United States World War II veteran and served with the LAPD for 15 years. He is survived by his wife and 2 daughters. Lastly, on this date, back in 1899, Deputy Sheriff William Singletary of the Washita County Sheriff's Office, Oklahoma, was shot and killed while attempting to arrest a man with a rifle for being drunk at a public gathering. The suspect gave Deputy Singletary the rifle and then produced a pistol and shot him in the head. The 33-year-old suspect was arrested, charged with murder, and posted bond 4 months later. It is not known if he was tried. He died on November 23rd, 1900. Deputy Singletary was survived by his wife and 5 children. He is buried at the family cemetery west of Sentinel, Oklahoma. May they all continue to rest in peace. And we'll finish as we always do with the timeline cleanse. But before we go, to all those out there struggling with that demon, remember to stop, breathe, and survive. Later, bitches.
Oh, shit!
Let me sit my stupid ass down.
Get him, Jay.
I'm not a cop.
You got DP'd.